Stop wasting your money, seriously. Because if you're like most people, you're about to make the biggest mistake of your year when you go out and buy a new iPhone. You're gonna spend hundreds, maybe even $1,000 or more, on a device that's either already obsolete or just not worth the sticker price. The big tech companies want you to believe that every new phone is a revolutionary leap, a game changer you can't live without. They'll hype up the new features, the faster chips, and the flashy new designs, but what they don't tell you is the ugly truth behind the marketing, the brutal reality that a lot of what they sell you is a total waste of cash. In this video, I'm going to expose the shocking truth about the iPhone lineup in 2025 and reveal the only phones that are truly worth your hard-earned money. And trust me, some of these answers are going to surprise you. So stick around because by the end of this, you'll know exactly which iPhone to buy and which ones to run from. So let's start at the bottom of the barrel. The cheapest iPhones that promise a lot but deliver a whole lot of nope. I'm talking about the iPhone 11 and the iPhone 12. Now I know what you're thinking. Dude, I can get an iPhone 11 for like $200 on the used market. That's a steal. And you're right, it feels like a steal. But here's the grim truth that Apple won't tell you. You're buying a time bomb. The iPhone 11 is an old phone, and while its A13 Bionic chip is still decent, it's a matter of months before it stops getting major iOS updates. That means no new features, no security patches, and a phone that will feel ancient real fast. The screen is an old-school LCD, not the beautiful OLED we've come to expect, and it's got no ceramic shield, which means it's just asking to be shattered. The battery life is also a total joke. It's a phone you'll have to keep tethered to a charger, and nobody has time for that. Then you've got the iPhone 12. It's a little bit better, sure. It has a nicer OLED screen and the A14 Bionic chip, but it's still old news. The biggest issue with the iPhone 12 is its battery life. It's notoriously bad. Like, don't leave the house without a portable charger bad. Sure, you can find it for around $200–$250 on the used market, but you're essentially paying for a paperweight with a fancy Apple logo on it. The money you save on the initial purchase, you'll spend on a new battery and the headache of a phone that just can't keep up. Don't fall for the trap. The iPhone 11 and 12 are a false economy. They're the bait in a game you don't want to play. But if those are the bad choices, what's the one you should actually be considering in that price range? You'd be surprised, because the real sweet spot is a phone you might have overlooked completely. And it's not the one you think it is. And that brings us to the iPhone 13, the one everyone forgets. And it's a huge mistake to sleep on this phone. A lot of people think, oh, the 14 came out, so the 13 must be junk. But the reality is that the iPhone 13 is practically the same phone as the iPhone 14. They share the same A15 Bionic chip, the same display, and the same camera system. The iPhone 14 has a slightly better battery and a tiny bit more RAM, but in day-to-day use, you'd be hard-pressed to notice the difference. The iPhone 14 was a total ripoff. Apple basically sold you the same phone for $100 more, slapping on a new number and calling it a day. The iPhone 13, on the other hand, gives you all the core features of the 14 for hundreds less on the used market, typically around $300 to $400. You get an amazing chip that will last you for years, great cameras, and solid battery life. It's the most underrated iPhone on the market and the undisputed king of value. But what if you're the kind of person who wants the latest tech, the USB-C port, and a camera with a massive sensor, but you don't have $1,000 to drop on a phone? What if you're not in the market for a used phone? Well, there's another phone you have to consider, and it's one you've probably never heard of, a hidden gem that's a total game changer. I'm talking about the iPhone 16e, and the story behind it is even more shocking. The E stands for essential, but it could easily stand for excellent, because this phone is a beast. This is the model that launched with a starting price of $599, and it has a secret weapon that makes it better than almost every other iPhone in its class, the A18 Bionic chip. It's the same processor found in the iPhone 16 Pro, but with a slight tweak to the graphics core. The A18 Bionic is built to handle Apple Intelligence, and it's a future-proof powerhouse. This phone is a powerhouse. You're also getting a massive battery, the best battery life of any 6.1-inch iPhone, by the way, and a USB-C port, finally saying goodbye to the Lightning port. So what's the catch? The Apple gods had to make a sacrifice, and what they took away from the iPhone 16e would be a deal-breaker for some. The ultra-wide camera. The phone only has a single rear camera. It's a 48-megapixel main sensor, which is a massive upgrade and a big win, but no ultra-wide. This is the big controversy. They give you a killer processor and battery, but force you to make a choice. But for the average user, the ultra-wide is a feature you rarely use. So you're getting a brand new modern iPhone with a killer chip, a great camera, and amazing battery life for hundreds less than the standard iPhone 16. It's a calculated move by Apple to get you in the door, but it's a move you can use to your advantage. And what happened next would shock everyone. You see, for just a couple $100 more, you get the iPhone 16, and here's the dirty little secret. The iPhone 16 is basically the same phone as the 16e. You get the A18 Bionic chip, the same 6.1-inch OLED display, and the same USB-C port. The only real difference is a slightly better A18 chip with one extra GPU core that you'll never notice, and the ultra-wide camera. That's it. You're paying hundreds more for a camera you might use once a month. The battery is even a little bit smaller on the iPhone 16 than on the 16e. It's a blatant cash grab. They know people will see a regular iPhone 16 and assume it's a huge leap, but in reality, it's the iPhone 16e that's the true best best value. It's a phone that gives you 95% of the features for about 80% of the price. The choice is clear. Now, let's talk about a totally different kind of person. The person who wants all the features. The person who won't compromise. The person who lives on the edge and wants the best of the best, but without paying a premium. This is where the used market truly shines. And it's where a lot of people are finding their holy grail. I'm talking about the used and refurbished iPhone Pro models. Specifically the iPhone 14 Pro Max and the iPhone 15 Pro. These are the phones that were once a grand or more, but you can now find them in the $500 to $100 range, and they are absolute monsters. Both phones come with a beautiful 120Hz ProMotion display, a premium design, and a camera system that blows the base models out of the water. The iPhone 14 Pro Max has the incredible A16 Bionic chip, the Dynamic Island, and an amazing triple camera system. The iPhone 15 Pro has the A17 Pro chip and a superior battery. These are the phones that let you experience what it's like to be a true pro without the crippling price tag. The key to getting one of these phones, however, is being smart about it. Don't just go on eBay and hope for the best. Use a reputable refurbished market like Back Market or Gazelle. Look for phones that are excellent or premium condition, with verified battery health. It's all about working smarter, not harder. The best part? You're getting a phone that's still years ahead of the competition for a price that feels like a glitch in the matrix. But what if you absolutely positively have to have the latest and greatest? What if you want the absolute top-of-the-line phone that money can buy? Well, I've got the full truth on the two biggest players in the game, and one of them is an absolute sham. And that brings us to the kings of the mountain, the iPhone 16 Pro and the iPhone 16 Pro Max. The absolute best of the best. The phones that cost a grand or more, and for good reason. They're packed with the absolute latest technology. Both phones feature the new A18 Pro chip, a ridiculously powerful processor that chews through games, 4K video editing, and anything you throw at it. They have the 120Hz ProMotion display, a beautiful titanium body, and a camera system that is simply unmatched. You're getting a 48-megapixel main camera, a 48-megapixel ultra-wide, and a 12-megapixel telephoto lens with a jaw-dropping 5x optical zoom. This is the kind of tech that makes you feel like a pro photographer. But here's the harsh reality. For most people, the iPhone 16 Pro is a total waste of money. The price jump from the iPhone 16 is massive, and for what? A better screen and a slightly better camera. But if you're a professional photographer or videographer, that zoom lens and that A18 Pro chip might be worth it. But for the average person who just wants to scroll through Instagram and take pictures of their food, it's a massive amount of cash for very little return. The real shocker, however, is the difference between the 16 Pro and the 16 Pro Max. The only real difference is a bigger screen and a bigger battery. And the price? You're paying hundreds more just for those two features. Is it really worth it? Maybe. But for most people, the iPhone 16 Pro is more than enough. The only reason to consider the Pro Max is if you are a true power user who spends a lot of time on your phone. So after all that, what's the final verdict? Which iPhones are truly worth your money in 2025? It all comes down to what kind of person you are. If you're a budget-conscious consumer who wants to save as much money as possible, you can't go wrong with the iPhone 13 or a used iPhone 14. They're still powerful, they get the job done, and they will save you hundreds. If you want a brand new phone with the latest tech and the best battery life, the iPhone 16e is the unexpected champion. It's got the A18 Bionic, a USB-C port, and a massive battery, all for a great price. It's a phone you should not sleep on, and if you're a power user who wants the best of the best, a used iPhone 14 Pro Max or 15 Pro is the way to go. You get all the features of the Pro line without the insane price tag. So don't fall for the hype. Don't let the big tech companies trick you into buying a phone you don't need. Be smart with your money, choose the phone that's right for you, and remember what's really important. It's not the phone in your pocket, it's the life you live with it. I'd recommend you watch my last video where I explain the same topic but with even more important info about these iPhones. Click on it to watch.